10% of all the new cars sold in Iowa come from the Carl Auto Group. Our neighbors trust us to have the largest selection and the highest standards. To our current customers, thank you. And to our future customers, see for yourself why Carl drives Iowa.
Your dealer for life, it's the Carl way.
My game plan? Get the best, without the fuss. That's why I love Fairway. Everything I need, easy to find. And a hometown atmosphere that just hits different. Fairway, your home court advantage.
Keen Project Solutions, a modern engineering and construction firm, embracing technology, establishing industry-leading systems and processes, and delivering reliable results to our customers. At Keen, we are passionate about inspiring our team and our customers to achieve great things, offering the highest quality services in commercial construction to deliver turnkey projects. Our core beliefs drive us forward. Protect people, build relationships, drive innovation, and focus on end goals, bringing our customers' desired results to life. See how Keen can work for you at ThinkDifferent.ThinkKeen.com.
Welcome into the Northwest Bank Studios for the Cyclone Fanatic pregame show. I'm Jake Brend. Chris Williams is hopefully behaving in Las Vegas, so we go to the bullpen for an upgrade. And Jeff Woody. Woody, how we doing, man?
Who's responsible for getting Chris back from Las Vegas to Iowa?
Man. Well, the entire basketball program will be out there, so maybe that's like a Micah Byers, director of basketball operations
That's
thing.
true. Okay. Yeah, or it's Schmitty. It's just like, all right, Chris, you're gonna get on the team flight. If Joshua Jefferson has to carry you on the plane, he'll carry you on the plane. He does everything else. Why not?
So he's flying out in the middle of the week, so he's going to miss the third basketball game, so it might just be as much as like Byers ordering Williams an Uber, being like, got to get in there right now. So Chris will be having some fun out in Vegas. I'm sure he's not going to join us on the halftime or the post-game show, but he's going to be sending us clips, and he's still certainly going to be a part of our game day coverage. And our game day coverage couldn't happen without our great sponsors. Channel Seed, as always, brings you our game day coverage. You all know the deal with Channel Seed. If you're a farmer, there's no one better to use than our friends, our seedsmen. Thanksgiving is next week, so if you're not going to Fairway Meat and Grocery, you're a moron. Maybe that's harsh, but Fairway, you can get your turkey there. You can get, of course, any sort of cut of meat there. You can get all your sides, your drinks, your beer, your wine. Fairway Meat and Groceries, your one-stop shop. The Iowa pork producers, you can find a lot of their stuff at Fairway as well. Maybe you are one of those families that doesn't like to do turkey on Thanksgiving. Go and get yourself a pork loin from the Iowa pork producers. Carl Auto Group, they speak for themselves. They've got the sickest trucks in the metro. You can see Chris Williams' truck if you're ever driving around Ankeny, Ames, Bondurant. You can't miss his beautiful Carl Auto truck. And finally, Keen Project Solutions. Keen Project Solutions is looking for a lot of people who are looking for a career that could challenge and inspire you. They're always hiring cyclones. They're always hiring engineers for their Ankeny and Kansas City offices. You can visit ThinkDifferent.ThinkKeen.com to apply. Keen Project Solutions, developing great people and building great projects. Woody, so I'm wearing this, and I'm guessing the viewer won't believe us, but right before we hit record.
And for those that are just on audio only, it's a different shade of red that your sweatshirt's wearing. It's not necessarily exactly cardinal. It's more kind of a circa 2003-ish red, kind of a true red, and there's a different logo on the front of your shirt. Could you describe that for the listener?
So imagine if you threw a bird or sigh in a blender. That's what this logo would be, and we just found out before we started recording. If you're listening to this Saturday, it's old news by now, but the whirly bird is making a return. Look at this beautiful helmet that Iowa State's going to be rocking on Senior Day against Kansas.
That is, I call it tornado chicken. There's blender sigh, there's whirly bird, there's whatever other word you want to call it, but it's like a modernized version of spinny sigh. And I tell you what, there's retro logos that you can kind of come across that are solid. Iowa State doesn't have a lot of those. There's the Jack Trice uniforms from back in like 1926 or whatever it was, 1925. But then there's this. There's this sigh and there's walk-in sigh. And those are the two that I think most people want to see. And the fact that the university and the football program finally went spinny sigh, A+ move. On a white helmet, no less.
Yeah.
We're talking spinny sigh and a white helmet. Come on now.
It's a clean look. And as we know, Matt Campbell is superstitious. So this game against Kansas becomes even more important. If you're a fan that wants to see the whirly bird once again, Iowa State's got a big one against Kansas on Saturday. For those who don't know much about Kansas, still coached by Lance Leipold, the Jayhawks have beaten Iowa State 3 times in a row. They are still fighting for bowl eligibility at 5-5, so it's a big game for both sides in this game. We'll start with the Cyclone offense against the Kansas defense. Kansas struggles to stop the run. Iowa State's been running the ball well. Woody, if you've got the headset on Saturday, how are you approaching this game?
Well, I think you have to, the expression complementary football. Like Matt Campbell, I don't know how many times, if you put like a pitch counter on that in any interview that Matt Campbell does, like the phrase complementary football is going to show up at least like 10 to 12 times. And it's really important in this particular game because Jalen Daniels, in his 93rd year at Kansas, has become relatively efficient at creating explosive plays if you give him enough chances to be explosive. And so a team that struggles against the run is a team that you really want to then tilt the entire game plan, not just your offensive game plan, but you want to tilt the entire game plan towards that, which a lot of times there's the expression run to set up the pass. It can kind of work in the other direction too, where if you're Kansas, you look at yourself in self-scout and you say, all right, Iowa State's probably going to run the ball. They're going to bring heavy tight end packages in, even without Gabe Burkle. They're going to try and run big bodies down at us, which means they're probably going to have heavier boxes, which means they're probably going to have safeties that are playing straight downhill. So you're going to have potentially the opportunity, if I'm Iowa State, if I'm Taylor Mauser, I'm going to probably look to take intermediate to deep shots off of run action early to make sure that that's not a thing that Kansas can get settled in doing. Because if they get settled in playing downhill and you never actually make them adjust out of it, like think of the TCU game if you're TCU's offense against Iowa State's defense. Iowa State's defense has struggled stopping the run in the past, 3 to 5 weeks as they've been banged up. And so Iowa State then not sent the house, but they were much more aggressive downhill against TCU. TCU never got a running game going, but they also never were able to complete any intermediate or down the field shots to really get Iowa State out of it. And so they were stuck in this mud fight that they didn't want to be in. And that's what Kansas is going to try and do to Iowa State. So yes, you want to focus on running the ball, but if you're Kansas, you know that's coming. So I think it's not the BYU game we're going to get a hitch and go on the first play, but there are going to be, I think, a early in the game more aggressive to force Kansas out of that downhill posture. And if you can get them out of that downhill posture, then you should be able to run the ball all day. So I think the first quarter and a half are going to set the tone for what the rest of the game is going to be because of that. Can they bring safety help or not? If they can bring safety help, it's going to be a game where Rocco might have to throw it 35 times to win, even if they're, quote, bad against the run. But if they can get Kansas backed off with a couple, maybe it's a seam ball that for 25 yards to Bramer, or maybe it's something to Eskelson. It's something that forces the safeties to think twice about committing. If they can do that early, Rocco might only have to throw it 22 times, and they might be able to run it for 200 yards. But it's early in the game is going to be really important for dictating who gets to set the terms of the game, and it's what is Kansas' aggressiveness going to be in the back end is really the thing that you're going to try and concern yourself with as an offense.
So Rocco's struggles the past month are well documented, and he's not been the same guy. But the last time out, we saw him in the fourth quarter make what Taylor Mauser said was his best throw of the year, that third down to Eli Green. he had a big run to get Iowa State in good position, and then he had, of course, the 4th and 1 naked bootleg for the first down. You're an athlete, Woody. When you were in this spot and you might have been slumping or maybe not performing to your expectations, how much does it help when you do have 1 play, 2 plays, 3 plays go your way? Can we expect that to carry over for Rocco early in this game?
I don't know if necessarily expect is the right word, but somewhere between hope and expect. Because when you're in that situation and you've got some confidence to it, so I think here's my very armchair analysis of why Rocco is a little bit, it has struggled over the last 3 to 5 weeks, is I believe, if I remember the statistic correctly, the Iowa State receiving core, when you include tight ends, running backs, and wide receivers, is the 2nd most drops in the entire Big 12. And if you're then Rocco, and no one is harder on Rocco than Rocco, if the guys are dropping passes that are a little bit off, because some of them are a little high, a little low, a little behind you, whatever. If it's not perfect, you're going to try and make sure you help him, because he doesn't dislike these guys. He wants to help them be successful. He wants to get the ball down the field. He wants to have the team win. Then he's going to try and make that pass perfect. Well, the don't aim it, throw it thing is when you start trying to make it perfect, then you end up your footwork is off, you're slinging it too hard, you're trying to it just ends up, mechanics fall apart because you're trying to make it perfect, and then it makes it worse. And it's sort of the finger trap thing, where then you have to try and make it more perfect and try and make it more perfect, and then you have to, the tighter you pull and the harder you try to make it perfect, the worse it's going to get. And so I think having a play like that where he is able to be successful, he does have a pretty bad game. I think against TCU, Rocco did not play well, and still come out with a win. It takes the pressure of the strain of that finger trap. It kind of pushes it, you pushes your proverbial fingers back together to realize you don't have to be that perfect to make it good enough. And so I think the thing you can hope for is that hope/expect somewhere in there is that your teammates have to help him get out of it to make him not feel like he has to be perfect. But if he's able to make a couple plays, one here or there, that slump is gone and you can get out of it right away. So I think, to me, it's making sure that his teammates pick him up and make him not feel like he has to be perfect and have the weight of the world on his shoulders, but then him also realizing that he doesn't have to have that happen. So I think that, to me, is where he's struggled with, is that it's not been successful unless he's been perfect, so he has to try and be perfect, which makes him less perfect. And all that kind of falls on a competitor's shoulders. So is it going to get better? I think so, because I think this defense is not as... They're good, but they're not as good. They've only had 4 interceptions all season, knock on wood. So they're not as ball hawking. They're not as aggressive as a team like a Cincinnati with a Corleone in the middle, or as a BYU. They're not that generally. So you can be a little bit more off and still get away with it.
Moving to the defense, because like you said, this is complementary football. It all works together. I'm guessing what the defense did last time out against TCU, while it might not be sustainable, I would guess that also helps Rocco a little bit, knowing, hey, the defense proved they can go win us a game. I don't have to do it all myself. What do you see out of this matchup against a Kansas team that has had Iowa State's number the last 2 times out?
Defensively, it is really interesting. The defense has now had... Let me take a step back. Middle of the season, and now still, there's a lot of injuries. The injuries to the kickers were much, much more impactful, in my opinion, much harder to get over than the injuries to the secondary, although those injuries were, you lose 2 first-team All-Big 12 defensive backs, and then you lose 4 other safeties and corners. That's hard. But you can morph a defense around where your weaknesses and strengths are. You can't morph a kick. The kick is either kicked or not kicked. That's it. And so I think the mistakes that early in the season they were put in short fields and the defense wasn't performing as well because opposing offense is starting on the 40-yard line. So a lot of the struggles that quote struggles that the defense have had is just in terrible field position. Then you get these clips with these new guys coming in, and you get an Arizona State. I don't know how many new safeties they were playing against Arizona State, and you miss a tackle against Arizona State. In the open field, Sims takes it for 85 yards. Next week, that doesn't happen. And so you can start to teach and morph your defense around who does well and what they're going to do. And you'll have to morph it a little bit because Kansas is going to be different. But the confidence that the offense will have that the defense is going to be good enough and adjust enough to, even with these injuries, to be able to put a defense on the field that's going to be able to slow down Kansas is still pretty good. So, like, yes, the offense will take confidence from the fact that the defense had a successful outing the week before, and even again against Arizona State, 20-something points Holding was it 23, something like that? That should be enough. That should be enough to win. And so you got to then feel like the defense is at least going to keep you in the game. Now, to flip forward, what does Kansas specifically present, and why have they had Iowa State's number? It's Jalen Daniels married with not taking advantage of the opportunities. Kansas has only turned the ball over 9 times all year. They should have turned the ball over a hell of a lot more than that. And what Kansas presents is a really strong running game from quarterback to running back to backup running backs. They've got LeSean Williams was at Iowa, and
Daniel Highshaw
is their kind of starters. Those 2 guys plus Daniels. And it's similar to what Iowa State has seen out of Arizona State when Sims was the quarterback. It's downhill. It's a lot of stuff they're going to try and run. Daniels is a cannon, but he also then gambles more than he should. So, like, you're going to see a downhill running game. You're going to see runs that go side to side and up and down. You have to defend all sideline to sideline in the running game. But they will also give you turnover-worthy plays regularly. Kansas does. They're just going to have to take advantage of that, because in that complimentary football, like you asked in the 7 minutes ago and you asked a question, in complimentary football, if you have a team that is explosive, take the ball away from them. Possess the ball a long time and shorten the possession that they have, and turnovers are a big part of that. So, like, getting the ball in turnovers when they have a turnover-worthy play, when Jalen Daniels tries to break a tackle and uses the ball to try and break his fall, and the ball falls out, get on the ball. Like, that type of stuff is what you can get against Kansas.
Yeah, it feels to me like the turnover margin is always such a... Is it random? Do you create your own luck? I know that's an age-old debate in football. And Iowa State forced, 3 last week against TCU? So maybe that momentum carries into this week. And to Iowa State's credit, most of those plays last time out against TCU were Iowa State's guy going to make a play. It's punching it out. It's going up. And, I mean, Marcus Neal smoked Josh Hoover and forced that one interception to Josh Patterson. So you'd like to think that could carry over with all you said about Kansas. Now the question is, do you think that's what will happen? How do you envision Iowa State matching up against Daniels, and are they able to slow him down more than they did last year in Arrowhead?
They got more linebackers this year. Like, that to me was that when you're facing a defense that goes side to side and up and down as much as Kansas does, like, and by what I mean side to side is their run actions. Where is the running back going? The running back is running to the sideline, which gives the quarterback the downhill option, or the running back is going downhill, which gives the quarterback the sideline option. As they do a lot of that, and depending on what your eye discipline is at your linebacker level, you can usually take away both if you're disciplined, but if one guy or a couple guys are undisciplined, then you end up with a big 5-yard hole that Daniel Highshaw is going to take for 12 yards, and your safety has to get him on the ground, and now it's another 1st and 10, and they keep moving the chains, and that eye discipline is what Kansas tests you with. It has been the case since Andy Kotelnicki was there, who, if I'm provided an aside for a second, Andy Kotelnicki was the offensive coordinator at Kansas when Lance Leipold first got there. He was then hired to go to Penn State. Penn State won a playoff game, but he is now without a job because Penn State got fired. So for a lot of people that are wondering, like, why are these big coaches from whatever the Indiana's, granted you're getting a bazillion-dollar buyouts, but why are these coaches not jumping at these opportunities? You had a lot of really good going on at Kansas, and you got fired in 2 years when you went to Penn State. Really good, really bad. So anyway, what Kansas, they test your eye discipline in the running game with formation shifts, all that kind of stuff. And last year, Iowa State was playing, I think they legitimately had 3 healthy linebackers on the entire roster. And eye discipline is paramount for your linebackers and your safeties. And so they all over the place. They got Iowa State moving side to side, up and down, wherever they wanted them to. This year, with healthy linebackers, they're much better at that. So they have a much better chance of slowing down. I think they had 250 yards rushing allowed against Kansas last year. I would be shocked.
It was bad.
if it's anywhere close to that, because you have guys like Willick, you have guys like Ebel, you have guys that are able to have eye discipline and make Daniels become a thrower of the ball and not 7 yards on a clip on the run.
This feels to me like another Cooper Ebel game. He's been so good the last month. Feels like he's been one of those defensive players that has completely elevated their game. So I'm with you. I think the linebackers should be able to help quite a bit. Do you have a score prediction?
I think this one's on the lower side. Like, I don't remember what I wrote for the picks column, so it might be a different number. But I think this is on the lower side because I think Iowa State's going to want to force Kansas into a mud fight that's 2 yards at a time, and Kansas wants to take chunks, and that to me feels like where Iowa State could win this game. So like, I'm going to say like mid-20s to low 20s, so something like a 26-21 in favor of Iowa State, where it's not going to be a track meet like it was last year, and the sort of the markers, the stats that you want to track, or that I would want to track throughout here. Obviously, turnover margin's huge, but your third down conversions are going to be huge on both sides of the ball on this one. So last week, I think I don't remember if I have the game pulled up here. The stats for Iowa State last year in this game. Kansas faced 13 third downs in the game. They converted 7 of them. Iowa State faced 11 third downs last year. They only converted 4. That's where the game is going to be won and lost, because in your time of possession, in your complementary football, you're going to get to third downs a lot. You need to convert them to keep them off the field, to keep that explosiveness off the field, and then on the inverse, get them off the field when they are. So to me, turnovers and third downs are going to be the thing that wins this game, and Iowa State's going to want to bring the timer faster. So low scoring, run the ball, physical game, mid-20s, low 20s, Iowa State.
Did you win your senior day when you were playing for Coach Rhodes?
Sure did. It was the 0-degree Kansas game.
Oh,
in 2013.
Maybe that's a good omen.
That was there's a funny story about Kansas. They were awful at the time. They're much better now. But I was standing next to Grant Rohach, and we had come out of a timeout. I mean, it's 0 degrees. It's negative temperatures probably by then. The field is ice, and you come out of a timeout early because the referees will come break up your huddles, and then they look back and they go like, "Oh shoot, sorry, you got 45 seconds." So you just start kind of chatting with the opposing team, and there's a guy who's got, for Kansas's defensive end, he's got his hands in his armpits, and he's like shrugged his shoulders down. He's got his chin to his chest. He's like trying to huddle down, and I think we're up by like 21 at this point. And Rohach, I'm standing next to him, and Rohach looks over at this guy and goes, 55, you want to be here at all? He shakes his head no. I was like, yeah, that about explains it. So yes, I did win my senior day. It was very cold but very fun.
Better weather expected for this Saturday at Jack Trice Stadium. I'll go Cyclones 31, Kansas 23, kind of in the same ballpark as Woody. I kind of think Iowa State's able to get Rocco back a little bit to his old self, and a lot of that will certainly be helped if they can establish that run and not have to go away from it. We will be back at halftime. I'll be joined by Leah Nelson, and then Woody will be here for the postgame show with Leah. So be sure to tune in to all of our coverage here in the Northwest Bank Studios. Appreciate Channel Seed, Fairway Meat and Grocery, the Iowa Pork Producers, Keene Project Solutions, and Carl Auto Group for providing our game day coverage.